Meltdown presents The Disney Click with Rick and Briers. This podcast is sponsored by Meltdown Comics and Collectibles in Hollywood, California. Find Meltdown on meltcomics.com. The Disney Click is also sponsored by comicsfix.com. Comicsfix.com, your online subscription comic book service.
Hey guys, welcome to the Disney Click. I'm Rick.
And I am Briers.
And today, D23 is over. And
until 2 more years.
Yeah, right?
It's a long time.
I assume it's 2 more years.
I think so,
okay.
Yeah.
They're not going to surprise us, say D23 next year.
John, as in Lassiter, at one of the
first name basis.
Yeah, John.
Okay.
Where I just want to clarify for all the people out there. He said something like, "See you in 2 years" at the end of a speech or something. So I think he knows what's going on. So
Right.
I'm going to trust his opinion.
Right. So this is the Disney Click, D23 wrap-up show. I don't know what you want to review, commentary, whatever you want to say. And we got a lot to talk about. Briers was there.
Yes,
and I unfortunately was not. So Briers will have a little report from there, I think.
Yeah.
And what stuck out before we get into the meat of this show? What stuck out to you?
Well, I was there on Saturday, the second day of 3 days of the Expo. And I would say I learned, this was my first convention, and I learned that you definitely want to try to go 2 days, if not all 3, because I felt kind of torn in a million directions. There was so much on the main floor, so many things to do, and everything is a line, which is fine, but you're thinking in terms of, okay, then at 2 o'clock I want to get in to hear this panel, and then at 4 I want to get into this one, and I want to get there early enough. So, but I guess what stood out was there was just how you forget how much is Disney.
Yeah, there's a
so
lot.
You turn and there's Marvel, and then you turn around and it's Pixar, and then it's ABC Studios. So they're talking about the new Muppet show and Once Upon a Time.
Right.
There's so much.
Right.
It's incredible.
I haven't been to D23 before, but I've been to Comic-Con, and my issue with Comic-Con is there's so much stuff, and you think, oh, it's just genre comic stuff. It's so much more, and there's lines and things that make it take longer in getting there. So one day, generally speaking, doesn't seem to be enough at these
and you're
conventions.
snapping photos of everything and trying to get pamphlets or whatever they're handing out.
Right.
It's all an experience, but the time goes very quickly.
Right. And it was a lot of fun, I assume.
So much fun.
Right.
So much fun. Okay. I definitely want to go back in 2 years, I guess.
If you have any comments or questions, tweet us at The Disney Click.
And follow us on Instagram at The Disney Click. And you can leave comments on, I took a lot of photos and I tried to share a handful and some videos from Saturday.
Very cool. So today it's a D23 wrap-up episode, as we said. We're going to do our Disney list, and the top 5 will be things we're most excited about that came out of D23 Expo. We'll also talk a little bit about some disappointments, not to put too much of a negative spin, because it was a lot of good stuff. But
yes.
I can't help myself.
The disappointments
I can't help myself. Disney, I love you. You did great, but I just need to kind of say some things that I just wanted to see that I didn't quite get. So no, it's mostly good, but some little things I wish we saw. Also, we're gonna have a little bit of brief interviews that you did at D23. A few interesting characters, shall we say?
Yes, yeah.
Fans,
people in costume, and fans, yeah.
And then we're
really fun people.
And then we're gonna wrap up with Briers went to the ZOOTOPIA panel and went to the Toy Story 20 years later panel, which she'll talk a little bit about that, and should be really interesting. So, you ready to get this going?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
And now, the Disney List.
So we are on to Disney List. The most exciting things that come out of the D23 Expo. And I know Briers and I are bursting with energy and excitement about these things.
Yes.
So why don't we get to it?
Okay.
Do you want to start us off today?
Sure.
Okay.
And also, you can tweet us your own top 5 at hashtag top 5 Disney Click. We always love to hear your thoughts as well. So my number.
And once again, I want to point out, this needs to be said, we have not discussed this. So hopefully we will not have the same things or most of the same things.
I'm predicting there'll hopefully be one overlapping.
Yeah.
That's very important and obvious.
Okay, yeah, I think so.
Was shattering.
Yes.
It was great because I heard people live talking about it and there were whispers everywhere because it had just been announced. Right. But we will get there. It's not my number 5.
We have not discussed this.
Yes,
so
this is
your number 5, Briers.
Okay. My number 5 was actually something, it flew under the radar, so I wanted to be sure to bring it up. And that was Pete's Dragon update. And I don't know if you were a fan of Pete's Dragon.
I was a kid when it was out. I remember it well.
Oh, well, there. Okay. So
Yeah.
I remember it from my childhood. It was a classic by then.
But by that time, it
was
had been out for a
vintage.
while. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was released when I was a kid. I'm not sure the year it was released, but I know it
was 1977 was the original
Oh
film.
yeah, I was a real young kid at that point. So
Just say you weren't born.
No, I was
Just
definitely.
tell him-
I was born at that. I don't know.
Just tell him a story.
I was born, but I was
not.
I was barely an
You
aware
were a
being.
6-month-old. I'm just trying to
Thank you. I
throw
appreciate
you a
it.
bone.
I appreciate it.
And I remember I don't know the film extremely well, but it stood out. It's in there enough. I only saw it a handful of times when I was very young, but I remember being really enchanted with it and with the story and of this boy and his dragon. And it just was really interesting what they said. So it'll be starring Bryce Dallas Howard, who I really like. I know some people say she's just a Jessica Chastain.
But that's not a bad thing, is it?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I would love to be compared
They're
to Jessica
They're both very
Chastain.
good actors.
Attractive redheads.
Yes, but they're good actors.
Yes,
they're good actors.
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So this Pete's Dragon will not be a musical, which I think gives a different spin on it. And it's going to be a furry dragon. And I don't know if people remember the original, but it was a 2D hand-drawn dragon. And this one's going to be, of course, it's going to use modern CGI technology.
That's kind of what blew me away. I remember, Mary Poppins, Jolly Holiday, where they go into this animated world. But this was like a whole movie where this dragon existed
mixing
in large part.
live action
and
with animation
yeah,
at the
and that's
time
why
was
it
a big
stuck out to
deal.
me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it is, it's been long enough. We have we've made leaps and bounds with technology. So I think I'm optimistic that they're going to have this original heart of this story and translate it in 2016. It'll come out about a year from now. Yeah. August 12th.
Yeah, I'm interested. I can't say it's at the top of my list of things I can't wait to see. I'm not going to go that far. But I think they could do some really cool things with it. And as I said, it was a definite childhood memory of mine.
Right, yeah, it stood out for me as well.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I know I've seen it several times. And I remember it being very heartfelt and just a sweet story. And at some point, I'll probably have to go back and watch it. But,
yeah, and see the new one with your kids.
Yeah, I probably will.
2016.
I almost, for sure will.
Yes.
So
your number 5.
My number 5. I don't want to butcher this name, but I was really the Moana. Is that how you pronounce it?
Because I listened again to Moana. Yes,
Moana. The preview, the pictures they saw, Dwayne Johnson's character that they had this volcanic land spirit image they had was so cool. And Dwayne Johnson plays Maui. He's a guy with a fish hook or something like that. I don't know the full story.
He's a god. He has powers.
And a magical fish hook or something.
Yeah, it sounds really neat.
I knew about it, but it was definitely kind of under the radar in the sense I'm like, okay, I know it's coming out soon. But when I saw the pictures, it's just something about it. It's the thing that probably surprised me from the things they showed animation wise. It's the thing that probably had me most hooked to be like, yeah, I'm digging this. I like what I see. I don't know much about it, but there's something about it that I feel very happy and connected to, and
something that Disney does so well, and I think that's going to be reflected in Moana, is their research and really tapping into a specific culture and bringing it to life and representing these people and their story authentically. That's like Disney at their best, and I think they're going to do that really well. And during the presentation they had dancers come out and had a whole performance, and so I think it's going to be a really neat film.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I agree.
I'm really excited about that.
That's a little bit my surprise one that I didn't think I'd come out thinking much of, but I'm looking forward to that now.
Yeah.
Thanks to
D23. Great one.
Yeah. Okay. Number 4.
My number 4 was a photo release and cast confirmation for Rogue One, the standalone Star Wars film. Rick's face, I don't know what he's thinking. And I love Felicity Jones, and she is the lead in that. I had heard rumors that she was the lead, and it was confirmed. And she's the female protagonist and the lead of the film, and that's the first time in the Star Wars franchise that will be the case. Or I don't know about this new film.
I feel like Daisy Ridley.
She is going to be kind of the
she's one of the leads
replacement in terms of
in The Force Awakens.
I know she's definitely one of the leads, but being the hands down by herself, yeah.
Since nobody's seen it, we don't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But that's what it seems clear that Felicity is with this one. So that's really exciting from a, girl power stance. I was really excited about that. Done.
I'm smiling because there's a lot of hoopla about this picture and Rogue One we had heard about, and it was just kind of cool to see a picture, and I definitely enjoy that. But it wasn't. I think maybe I'm so amped up about The Force Awakens that just a picture of these kind of Rogue One pilots, and it was cool.
Well, it's a true teaser in the truest form of we don't know anything.
Right.
We're just looking at a photo.
Right. So
it's exciting.
It was cool to see, but for me, it's a picture of a movie that's coming up, and it's nice to see the characters, but it didn't give me much. So I'm excited about the movie.
I think standalone films have a power in their own right that they can kind of set their own parameters. Sometimes with, the franchise and the story, you kind of have to connect dots, and they have a little bit more power.
You know what the story's about, right?
I'm not familiar.
The story is supposedly, I don't think this is officially stated, although it might be, is that this is the squadron, X-Wing squadron, who stole the plans to the first Death Star, which led to them being able to blow it up in the first Star Wars movie. So this is sort of
a prequel.
It kind of weaves in with the original saga. So in a way, you're right. It's independent, but it does tie into that whole Star Wars canon thing. So
but in terms of how there won't be any connection or knowing of the characters, the stand. I mean, there could be cameo, like nuggets, but
Chewbacca
they can really
shows
write
up, waves, and then moves on from the camera or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it is a part of that universe.
Right.
It's very cool. I can't get excited about one picture, but I'm very excited about the project.
I'm excited about one picture because it had my girl Felicity.
Fair enough.
Right in the middle.
Fair enough, and that's a good enough reason. So.
It is.
So
your number 4.
My number 4 is a little bit. Take some slight explanation here. They announced at Walt Disney World a new restaurant called the Jungle Navigation Company Limited Skipper Canteen Restaurant, and basically it's based on the Jungle Cruise rise. I think it even overlooks or is right by the Jungle Cruise. That's okay, cool in of itself, but nothing that's earth-shattering by any means.
Okay.
What I really love about this is that this links I think this is the daughter of one of the original skippers or something, and it links the Society of Explorers and Adventurers, which is a big kind of Disney park grown IP. It's based Mystic Manor at Hong Kong Disneyland, and Tower of Terror is all based around this idea of an explorer society, and they bring home artifacts and things that are just forbidden and scary. And the Tower of Terror in Hong Kong is not a Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. It's this society brings home an idol. This explorer brings home an idol, and he causes the havoc in the elevator. And Mystic Manor, there's this object that it's a chest, and they open it up, and it animates everything around it.
So the restaurant will
kind of be it'll be a link to this Society of Explorers and Adventurers that's in distant parks that they haven't really done anything with here. And I love the idea of...
This is in Magic Kingdom?
This is in Magic Kingdom, in Walt Disney World, yeah.
So this will not be...
Well, I mean, I think I see it as a potential bridge to bringing in the Society of Explorers and Adventurers
into
into the U.S. parks. And there's two great attractions. Supposedly people love that Tower of Terror, and people rave about Mystic Manor, about what that ride is. And I would love to see, it's not a Star Wars, it's not a Marvel, it's a Disney created intellectual property within the park, and they haven't done this in ages.
So the Imagineers have created this.
Yes,
that work on the park.
This is a Disney thing.
Purely came from them.
This, as far as I know,
right? Yeah, I've never heard of this.
Purely
before.
from the park. It's not stateside or not even any big thing. So this restaurant is the first hinting to me about
it's growing. It's
this cool thing that is a grassroots, like kind of homegrown Disney thing. And if you think about what we've gotten recently, it's been pretty much Pixar. I mean, Frozen's an exception, but otherwise Star Wars and Marvel and all that sort of thing has been a lot of the talk. You don't hear much about, think about going back years and years and years. The Haunted Mansion, the Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, all those
just
are Space
like
Mountain.
An authentic, original Disney experience.
Yeah, Disney, the Tiki Room.
I think now they would say they get their ideas for the park. They spawn from the films,
right,
and I think that's kind of their to tie it all in.
And that's all well and good, but
right. So this is rare. I don't think. Yeah, this
you
sounds
don't
great.
see it very much, and it's very exciting to me if this is the door opening to getting this park exclusive thing that you can go and enjoy the park, something that's from the park, as opposed to going to Pandora for the world of Avatar or what have you. That's exciting to me.
That sounds really cool.
It's the restaurant itself. Okay, it's kind of cool, but it's the idea that we have something here, we know something, and this might bring some things in. That's exciting to me. So that was a big deal. I'm trying to
visualize where that restaurant is going to go. That is already a really tight area in the park. Maybe not as much in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, Magic Kingdom. It's
right. I know.
They're building. It's almost done. I've seen pictures of it online. So
I gotta. So it'll be done by January 2016?
I don't know the exact. I think it's going to be relatively soon. I think certainly, if not within the next several months, in under a year, I think it's going to be done.
That's exciting.
And that doesn't mean anything. That means the way Disney does things, it's going to be 6 years, 7 years, 8 years till we get a Mystic Manor here or something.
Are you making a comment about them being slow at building?
They're a little slow at building things. They do it right. But it's slow.
I would absolutely.
I think they could do it
quality over quantity.
I think they could hire. They have the money to hire a few more people in construction phase to get it done.
They want no. I'm going to give them the. I'm going to respect. All right. Well, respect their process.
Yeah, okay. I think
it might be slow, but the rides are. It's going to be there forever.
We'll touch on this a little bit later.
Yeah.
So. All right. You go into number 3.
Under disappointments. Okay.
Maybe.
Let's stay with the positive. My number 3 was the announcement that Walt Disney Animation Studios is launching production of their version of Jack and the Beanstalk, and it is called Gigantic. And it's going to be a musical with the husband and wife team, Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, who were the duo behind a small film, an indie, Frozen.
One you love, right?
I like Frozen. I love the
music.
You're
not tired of it all, though, right?
A little jaded. I think most people
you can be
in the
negative
world
too.
are.
It's okay. You can be negative.
I don't know how. No.
Frozen and the Tiki Room. Those are 2 negative things. I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's
go
fine.
ahead.
I just I've never loved the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, or never seen it done in a way that excites me. I've always not crazy about the story, but I feel like if anyone's going to do it justice, it will be Walt Disney Animation Studios. And I was really excited that it was the team behind Frozen, because that music, I think the music is what made the film. I think almost anyone would argue. You take away the songs and the music from Frozen, it's not the same film. It's not,
I agree with you that the music meant a lot to Frozen. I'm not, maybe it's the idea of Jack and the Beanstalk. I agree with you. If anybody can do it right, Disney can.
And they're revamping the story.
I know. It's like she's
a different
a princess. It's like princess in the Giant Kingdom,
right? Which I love. I mean,
get
that's
it.
like Frozen too is based on an original story that they just completely changed.
Sure.
And so that's exciting that they're just like, okay, we have the origin, and that's our starting point.
I guess I
and
can't
then we change it.
I don't reserved on my excitement yet. I haven't seen enough. I think it's a cool idea. But
when it
feels
becomes
so
the highest
far away.
grossing film of all time,
but it might be good. I just haven't seen much of it. So the idea alone doesn't excite me.
Okay.
But I like
They had a really neat reveal too. They dropped these giant curtains.
Oh,
and
really?
Had I wasn't there. This happened on Friday, but I
Okay.
was then able on Saturday to go by and see they had a gigantic, no pun intended, beanstalk that went all the way up to the ceiling.
Right.
It was really cool. So it just had a really fun energy around the announcement as well.
And that probably added to the excitement, which I wasn't there to feel it. So I'm not gonna give it a thumbs down or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, I'm not feeling it yet. I'm not feeling it.
So
yet,
I'm sensing a theme. You like a little more. You like to know a little more. You can't go off just a tiny, like a photo for Rogue One, or it's not enough, which is fine.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you've also said you don't like too many trailers. So you kind of
there's a middle ground.
Right, exactly.
There
you
are
need
things
to know about the film, but not too much.
As you will see by my next my number 3, you'll see that maybe is not the case.
Okay,
actually.
well, go ahead and hit it with your number 3.
My number 3, quite simple. Okay, seeing the logos to Incredibles 2 and hearing a little bit more about Toy Story 4. So that almost goes against what you just said.
Speaking Pixar,
right? Well.
So I'm in. I'm already
right. Well,
on the edge of my seat.
I've been waiting. I don't need all the sequels in the world, and I have issue with this. But
there are a lot of sequels,
right? But Incredibles is so ripe for a sequel. There's so many things you could do with it.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a commentary on all the superhero franchise they have now, or even the story itself can be easily picked up. So I think it blows my mind that they haven't even done an Incredibles 2 at this point. It's the Disney way. They don't do it until they have it right. I know that.
Well, that's the Pixar way.
Disney's pretty good about that too.
Well, they're fixed themselves now with John Lasseter at the helm. But look back at Mulan sequels. Brother Bear got a sequel.
Right.
They definitely had time. It was a different CEO at the time, but they were just like cranking out the sequels. And Pixar always put a stop to it. They never wanted to do sequels to begin with. They were forced to do Toy Story 2.
Yeah, and I want
to. It was inevitable when these films become popular and they're franchised.
Absolutely. And I want to remind you to tweet us at the Disney Click top 5. Do I have that right? Is that?
Hashtag top 5 Disney Click.
Okay, I always get that. There you go.
Charming.
Oh, very nice.
That's unusual.
So The Incredibles 2, I'm very, very excited about. Just seeing the logo says, okay, it's happening. Although something could still happen where it's not happening, but it seems like it could
get pushed back 3 years because Pixar is perfectionist.
Right, exactly.
But we can't fault them for that.
It's happening. And then Toy Story 4, I feel like we have
got a lot to talk.
Yeah, we have Toy Story 4 is a lot, but
spoiler, it might come up again.
Yes, I'm trusting that they have a good story. Now, they didn't have this with Cars 2, but I believe that might have been like their one and only true cash grab.
And I'll agree. Yeah.
So in Pixar we trust that they have a good reason for doing this and getting.
In Pixar we trust.
Right, I know that would be like on your tombstone or something like that.
Okay, well that's taking it really far. I have to think about my death, don't you? No, I know.
It's a happy show.
How Rick spends his free time. Briers is dead. Her tombstone will say.
In Pixar we trust, and darn that Rick. But I think just hearing what Toy Story 4 is going to be about, I have a little more faith. It could be really interesting and just kind of exciting to see. Toy Story is my favorite Pixar franchise. And
I agree, which is shocking.
Yeah.
We agree
on that one.
But I think a lot of people would agree with the Toy Story films.
Yes.
They're wonderful.
Absolutely.
Each of them.
So you can see how those little things kind of do spur big imagination, and I am able to kind of picture what it's going to be like. Granted, these are sequels. Maybe it's
just the Pixar exception.
Maybe.
You just trust. You can see a poster for a Pixar film and be like, I'm good, I'm safe.
Right. I will say
other things you need more.
They're sequels, so I already know what the characters are like. I don't know what the new characters are. So maybe that's a little cheating.
But they do love to bring in an entirely new, the Finding Dory film is almost entirely, it's Dory and new characters. Yeah. I think Marlon will briefly be in it, if that.
I sort of imagine Incredibles being like a mock-up of the Avengers, like a superhero team. I don't know if that's what it's going to be, but I kind of just have that. It's such a ripe, thing for plucking.
I kind of love though that there's a gap, and they do such a good job of playing into that. Like with Toy Story 3, they aged Andy as if it was real time to when the first film came out, and had him going to college. And there's something kind of cool about that the characters. They don't just rush into these sequels.
Right.
So I give them respect for that. They wait until the story is there, and they take their time, and they are putting out a lot of sequels, which we can talk about.
Yeah, well, We'll get to that. All right, let's go on. Let's go on to number 2.
My number 2, which is the big one is actually my number 2 because I have a different number 1.
Okay.
The park expansion, which is 2 new lands.
Wait, you're cheating. You're cheating. Are you saying? Sorry, I apologize. You finished.
I'm like, excuse me.
You finished this.
What do you consider cheating? Okay, is the park expansion, which is the 2 new lands at Disneyland and Disney World. There's gonna be a Star Wars land and the Toy Story land. I just put it all together.
Cheating. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think it's cheating.
They're separate things.
It was a single announcement, Rick.
It was the same. It was the
same
single
panel. Announcement.
It was the same panel, but different times.
But it's the same. They announced it as the expansion, I think it ties in too because we.
Are you more excited for the Star Wars land or the Toy Story land?
I'm torn. I thought, and that's why I think I couldn't rank them. Nope. I couldn't rank them separately.
Pick one.
I'm gonna. This is hard. This is very hard. I'm gonna say Star Wars.
All right. I was hoping you say Toy Story because Star Wars is my number 2.
I want to say Toy Story, but I was reading in depth about I'm very excited there is a Toy Story expansion. I'm thrilled.
Right.
And it's great because we spoke about this in our first episode. If you want to listen back, just take another listen. We talked about Hollywood Studios and what was going on there and all the closures, and now we're seeing how what's coming to fruition.
Right. Well, we said that
saw the future.
We said there was no way that they weren't going to announce something about.
Absolutely.
So it's not a surprise.
And we thought there might be. We mentioned a Star Wars land and a Toy Story,
or
Pixar
or
expansion.
something. Yeah.
No, I'm thrilled, but I looked at the rides and they all seemed a little youthful. And I would like one that's like a Daredevil toaster, it's definitely geared. It's like what is the equivalent? Right.
Bugs Land, are you thinking? Or Pixar Land?
No, it's the animated characters like Goofy, not Goofy Sky School, but
Toontown?
Yeah.
Toontown,
it feels like Toontown, but under a Toy Story name. So I don't like the Toontown.
The Slinky Coaster looks kind of cool, but I agree with you.
Yeah, it all looks cool. Like I'm gonna do it. And there's an expansion to Toy Story Mania, which is a wonderful ride.
They're kind of cheating a little bit on that. We're adding a 3rd track to Toy Story Mania.
Right.
It's fine. They need it. They need it.
So that's where it loses a little bit of its excitement for me.
Okay,
I know
my number 2 is Star Wars Land as well, so we can talk about this together. Yeah, my number 2 is Star Wars. So go ahead. What were you going to say about Star Wars Land?
No, it just felt a little more geared towards the older crowd, and I love that it's at both parks, and it's exciting that California is going to get to expand. And it was exciting because they had mentioned recently that they purchased the land, and it had this big question mark of what's that for. And this is, I know Rick in the past has complained under disappointments or upset with Disney that there have not been enough expansion. This is the largest park expansion in history, so we got to give them some props.
And it's not so much expansion; it's just new e-ticket rides. That more than this is over.
But it is an expansion.
Oh, absolutely! This is above and beyond what I expected.
Fabulous.
As far as 14 acres, 14 acres of Star Wars. Some people are complaining that it's too much Star Wars everywhere. You can't have it both ways, people. You should be either thrilled that they're doing this, they're putting something huge and massive on the scale of what Harry Potter is in Universal, or you just want the same old park with little additions. There's very little in between, I think, at this point. People could argue that
but I don't think until the end of time you should always go out and expand the park until it takes up half of Florida or all of Anaheim either. Right. I think, do you know, like I know in the past you've said I want more e-ticket rides, but I think it should all be calculated and with good reason.
It
shouldn't just be like we grow. I
want a third gate.
You want to appreciate everything,
right? I want a third gate. I want a third park eventually. I thought maybe I didn't think it was
in California. I think California, if it grew to be 3 or 4 and kind of equaled the size of, it'll never fully equal the size of World, but I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah, it should matter. What I think they're doing, or the rumors they're doing, is they're closing their Big Thunder Ranch area, and they're taking some backstage areas and moving them off property, off the Disneyland property, so they have room for everything. So this is an expansion of the park borders in the sense that guests have access to more areas now. So they're not really taking a large chunk of Disneyland to do this, existing Disneyland to do this. It's just the Big Thunder Ranch area.
So the Star Wars expansion will be in the Disneyland side of the park.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So
because at World, it's going to be in Hollywood Studios, and I think they're even moving Star Tours. Is what I
moving Star Tours
out of Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
Oh no, it is in Hollywood Studios. Right.
There's some debate about
how will they tie that together in Disneyland.
I read something recently about this, and the talk is that, Disney's very big into keeping themes the same and characters in the same place.
I
obviously.
applaud them for that.
So
that's a strength.
What are they going to do with Star Tours? Well, I don't think they're going to move it to New Star Wars Land. It seems
it'll just stand alone.
Well, I don't know. It's still a popular attraction that I can see them not wanting to get rid of it. But something they might do is they announced an Iron Man experience attraction at Hong Kong Disneyland, I think.
Oh, okay.
And so one suggestion is maybe they're gonna get rid of Star Tours and put in that Iron Man experience there because it's similar.
Completely get rid of it?
Well, that's pure.
You can't get rid of Star Tours.
There's no fact to that. That's just an idea that I've read about, a possibility of what do you do with that.
We know it's safe. We know it's safe in Florida because it's going to fit with the expansion. Hopefully,
I think it's safe in Disney. I have a hard time seeing them get rid of it.
They just did a major overhaul update. I don't
know how they're going to work that because that's a little. And I bet you that's a big part of the debate they had and where to put Star Wars Land is we have Star Tours over here and we're going to put Star Wars Land over there.
That's got to be a headache.
Yeah.
Good luck
so
to the
I'm curious I'm really curious what they're going to do about that. But on top of it, they are doing that new. They're going to add from the movie a new scene and new characters into Star Tours. I think this winter, matter of fact. So they're going to update it a little bit in accordance with The Force Awakens. So that's pretty cool.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. So
and it's great that it's. Because of the new advancements,
right?
The technology's there that. They don't have to close the ride down.
Right.
It's all just on a computer. You just change
something
same
beyond
with,
my
Toy
concept.
Story Mania.
Right, exactly.
It's great. They can just add in new characters.
But let's talk for a brief minute about the two rides. They sound like e-ticket rides and I'm excited about a Millennium Falcon. I have no idea what these are about except what they're about, which is a Millennium Falcon ride of some sort, and then the New Order versus the Republic, which is based on the new movie ride. Don't know.
Millennium Falcon.
Don't know. I don't know if they're.
But
I don't know if they're going to be akin to sort of a Radiator Springs Racers. They're going to be a screen-based thing. I have no clue. I'm hoping they're not screen-based. I'm hoping it's practical sets, and it's a big land. So I think one of them will. One of them for sure will be.
John Lasseter oversees all the park expansions, and he headed up Cars Land. And I think if it's anything, if that's any indication, I think you'll get your wish. Right. I would guess. I would see him going big and not, and making it a full experience on a track, immersive.
Right. But two rides like that, I'm hoping, but two rides seems like, look, I don't want to doubt Disney that they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Do you have the room? Do you have the technology?
In Hollywood Studios, I think it sounds like they're going to rename the park.
Star Wars
which
Land.
Which I would not like.
Star Wars Land with some rides over here.
No. You've got Grauman's Chinese Theater. Hollywood Tower of Terror. There's too much there.
Right. I don't know. We'll see.
But I kind of like that. We know about it, but there's still a lot of question marks.
Yes,
but it's exciting.
And
it's gonna be so fun to experience these. Yeah.
I can't
really
wait.
Thrilling.
It's what I've been waiting for. One of the things I've been waiting
your wish.
for.
It's like Christmas morning.
Yeah, and we'll get. There is a dark side, pun intended, to it, and we'll get to that. I don't want to spoil the Disney list here.
The disappointments.
Well, I don't want to spoil the Disney list because we're positive right now. Right. So I'm not going there yet. So why don't you?
My number one, which I'm so excited about. Yes. I'm very excited about.
And we're not going to be the same here, are we?
No.
Okay.
My number one, which you've kind of mentioned, is the Toy Story 4 announcement, and that it will be a full-on love story between Woody and Bo Peep. And I will admit, I don't know how much we've talked about this already, but when I first got the news that they were making a Toy Story 4, I had this weird mix of, oh, that's exciting, but don't do it. Like it's such a perfect trilogy. I love all three of them equally. I really can't choose. I could watch all three. So I was really nervous, and I kept hearing John Lasseter and other people say that if they did it, it was going to be, if they made a fourth, it was going to be because they had the story. They had a reason. And so hearing that this is what the story is about gets me excited. One of the saddest moments in Toy Story 3 is when they mention, someone asks about Bo Peep, and Woody kind of says that, you know, she's gone, or how he misses her, and you know that Buzz has Jessie, and you know, as his romantic love interest. So I don't know. I think it's going to be. I'm really excited about it, and to have this character come back that was in the original.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I spoke about it earlier, but darn it, we're agreeing on this. Not my number one, obviously, but I'm very excited to see what they're going to do with it. And it's just, those characters are fun to see. They're just a piece of that Pixar thing that we love, and
it'll come back when I talk about the panel. But it's the beginning of Pixar. It's kind of, I don't know. There's
important.
Something so exciting about revisiting.
Absolutely. So
such a great story.
Right. So we won't dwell on that because we talked a little bit about that earlier, but it's not a surprise that you like that.
I know.
But
I'm just so excited to hear a little bit about it.
Right.
I was excited.
I'm not giving you grief about it. I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm excited about that.
Great.
My number one is, it's another Star Wars thing. Hyperspace Mountain. It's the Space Mountain overlay that they're going to put coming this, I think, early next year. You're going to be in the middle of like a TIE fighter X-Wing battle in Space Mountain. So similar to Ghost Galaxy.
Right, okay.
It's going to, and it's not a huge deal in the scheme of things, but what makes me really excited about this is something they're giving us not in 4 or 5 or 6 years. It's literally like 6 months, 7 months away.
Gratification,
and it's still cool on top. I don't know if it'll be the end all be all, but this whole,
it won't be seasonal, because I mean it won't. They'll still have the Halloween.
Yeah, this is for the Force. What is it? Celebration of the Force. I'm blanking on what it was called. But it's all a part of the Star Wars celebration. They're kind of bringing it to Anaheim.
Would it be when the film comes out?
No, it's going to be. They haven't announced the exact date, but they said early next year.
Okay.
And
I love anytime they change. Yeah. They change an existing ride, and it's not permanent, but it kind of gives it a lift briefly, and just changes the experience, because we've been on Space Mountain so many times.
I don't get to ride it very much these days, but I will make a point to ride it there. And it's exciting. They're doing something now. It's in response to
everything else is going to take
Harry
a while.
Potter coming to here. I mean, there's reasons beyond it, but it's just cool that we're getting something that feels big to me in far less than a year, and that's not the way Disney operates. So that's me.
They take their time.
They do take their time, and this one, I
shouldn't fault them for that.
I'd like to think that they have this planned out a little bit. Maybe this didn't take as much time to think, but they're giving us something, and something exciting.
That's neat.
And we could put the Star Tours location. Not as big of a deal to me, but they're plussing up or changing Star Tours, which is kind of neat. Yeah. And they're going to have new shows and that sort of thing. So, it's really looking forward to that, and I'm really excited that I'm getting something Star Wars, something substantial Star Wars soon.
Yeah.
Soon, like within my annual pass that I have right now.
Right.
So
I feel you on that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that's it. So
that was it. Yeah.
If you have any questions or comments, tweet us.
And use top 5 Disney Click.
Right? Or if you have any other just general questions or comments, the Disney Click. Hashtag the Disney Click, or at the Disney Click.
At the Disney Click,
Instagram.
Which is Instagram as well.
Right. Okay. On to the
I'll
next.
let Rick lead his own segment that he's so excited about.
All right. Let's get there.
A big grin on his face.
All right. So with the positive comes a little bit of the disappointments. Briers is quickly calling me, the sadness to her joy, to reference Inside Out. She thinks
Darth Vader.
I'm a little bit.
We're talking Star Wars.
I love
thematically.
I love Disney, but it's not all perfect, and I wanted her a little bit about what I think they could do, maybe a little differently, or something that not that I am the geniuses there, that the Imagineers or the business side, things cost money. I understand that, but these are just things that I'm a little. I was a little disappointed about. So I apologize, Disney. I still love you. Number one, there's really no order to this, but this first one that came to my mind is there was no announcement regarding a Marvel-based land or ride or attraction.
I'm fine with that.
I know you are. I know you are. but it just screams for something. And I have a real.
What about the one you mentioned?
The Iron Man. There's no announcement. That's in.
That was
that's in Hong Kong. They're building it next year, 2016.
Right. That was not mentioned at this Expo.
It was mentioned for Hong Kong, but not for stateside.
But my number. Just go to Hong Kong.
Yes, it's so easy. Okay, so easy. Let me put on my wings and
great.
And I have a bigger concern is that they're going to put this Star Wars land at Disneyland Park, which is already the more popular park.
I thought it would be it. I was under. I was reading all the articles incorrectly.
No.
I thought it's going.
It's going in. It could change. I understand.
Or even in its own separate location.
It could change, but it's pretty definitively right now going into Disneyland, and I think that's going to drive. It's going to drive. Well, it's going to drive so much traffic to Disneyland,
which is
and
already
California Adventure,
the higher traffic.
Exactly,
park.
It's so crowded there, and they don't have the space. That I'm fine with Star Wars going into Disneyland. I really am okay with that. That's great. But are they going to do something?
Have a separate entrance into
No.
it?
Are they going to have a Marvel Land or some huge attraction or park or addition to California Adventure to counterbalance all the people going to Disneyland Park? That's going to be kind of scary. When that opens, you know how crowded Disneyland is going to be?
I mean, well, anytime there's, even just when Cars Land opened for a year, it's miserable. I mean,
and that was the less popular part.
That's the nature of an expansion. You want a new e-ticket ride, this is what you get. I mean, there's kind of, I don't think there's a cure yet for.
They could have put it in Disney California Adventure though, and I would have been just as happy.
It's still going to be, regardless of where it goes, it is going to be.
Sure.
Crowded.
That's
the one. That's the biggest downside I see to an expansion. You have to. It's great we live here because you almost have to sit back for a year and be like, okay, crowds.
I tweeted out.
Take it
I tweeted out a picture.
Year.
I can't remember who. I'm sorry for not giving credit. I credit it in the tweet, but there's a picture with all the mock-up of Star Wars Land with all the stuff,
the drawing,
and then they've added crowds of people, and they're like, this is what Star Wars Land. I loved it, so I apologize to you.
True, I mean,
but it was. That's a big thing. So I'm not. I love Star Wars Land.
When Wizarding
but they
World
could do
and Harry
two
Potter
things at
for
once,
the first
right?
few years, you couldn't go.
Couldn't they do something in California? It's a lot of money. I understand it's not that easy, but. Couldn't you put a Marvel Land?
A simultaneous expansion that big. It's already the biggest expansion in the park history.
I understand. They have the money.
Look, sometimes you want a miracle.
There's shareholders out there. I understand. It's a business. I understand. But they have the money, and it's not like
I don't think they're looking at it as, we have the money. Let's throw it into.
Of course not.
And then
of course not.
You don't want to build something just to prevent crowds. I don't know.
Well, but you
want it to come from a place of this will make the parks better. This will stand the test of time.
Do you think a Marvel Land
come here for forever and want to experience it?
Do you think given the time, given 4 or 5 years, a Marvel Land is not going to be popular?
I mean, no, 4 or 5 years. That's
that's
fine.
What
I'm talking. It's Disney's having its 60th anniversary. Okay. So in 60 years, will Marvel Land still be as relevant? I don't know.
Well,
but Star Wars will. Star Wars.
I mean, Marvel's been around before Star Wars. You realize that, right? Marvel's been around far before Star Wars.
Form for a very small niche of people.
Okay, I don't know.
I mean, I think the films have expanded the fandom.
For sure, absolutely.
I think the films it's a phase right now. I hope till the end of time we don't have a I love the Marvel films, and I have specific ones that I love more than others, but I don't think they deserve their own part. I think it'll happen though. I do. I think it'll happen.
And I think there's no better time than now to counterbalance because it'll help balance the parks.
I don't think you should build just to counterbalance.
Well,
I think that comes that's from a weird.
But you're assuming that they're just going to throw it together to counterbalance.
Oh no, they wouldn't because they're Disney.
They're gonna do it. Right? They're gonna do it because
it'll still take 10 years.
They're gonna do it because it's a cool thing to do, and they have ideas, and I'm sure they're talking about it now.
That's the thing. If they do it, it's because they have the ideas, and it's because it's had its time to grow and develop, and not just. It's going to be crowded. The other park needs some ride.
I think it's money. I think it's about money now. I think they have the ideas. I think they could get it together.
You think it's about money to not build?
I think it's expensive to build.
But you just said a few seconds ago they have the money. They can do it.
You stated that they just throw it together. The point is if money were no object, they would be working on the Marvel Land as well.
I thought you said money was no object to Disney.
I said they think they have the money to do it if they wanted to, but they're shareholders
and they don't want to. So. And I'm glad as of now I respect their decision.
You just don't really like Marvel
We
very
need
much.
some people to tweet us about. We need to make up a hashtag right now. Hashtag Marvel Land or not. And tell us your thoughts if you hear this episode, because I want to know what I'd be really interested to hear what people think.
Right. Well, okay, fair. Well,
yeah. But I think one thing at a time, I think when you roll out too much at a time, each thing loses its, how much is put into it, you know? And they only have a certain number of Imagineers if they're spreading themselves thin. And
hire more.
Oh.
I agree with you.
I mean, I think there's something to be said about spreading it out.
Right. I agree with you. But I think that
too much of a good thing.
No, I just think
too many expansions. You're expansion crazy.
California Adventure needs something.
That's going to be. Let's say the Star. It just got Cars Land 3 years ago.
I know, but
what do you want?
Do you think Cars Land can continue to draw the same level it does when Star Wars Land comes in? Do you think people are going to head to California Adventure first? Or
that's a very leading question and unfair. No, but I think...
But it proves my point.
Well, no, I think Cars Land has done what they wanted it to do, which is to get people to buy the hopper and to go into both parks. Absolutely. And I think people will still continue to go to both parks, especially because, you know, if they're coming to Star Wars, they've got a whole day and it's crowded. They're going to want to spread their time out and go to both parks.
Right. We'll
stand by my argument.
I want them to build.
I love California Adventure.
I want them to build it right.
I think it will definitely get more expansions. Cars Land.
I want them to build Marvel Land right. Don't get me wrong.
Not right now.
I'm just concerned about the crush of people that are going to.
That's going to happen.
I was at Harry Potter.
Regardless.
I was at Harry Potter World, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, this past year at the Diagon Alley.
Here we go.
And it was amazing, but it was. So, I mean, everybody just headed to that section.
Yes.
And Disneyland is going to be 10 times worse than that. So I think they want to keep people happy. And I don't think people are going to be so happy if they have to fight those crowds. And they need something in California Adventure, whatever it is, to counterbalance it.
Well, I will say, though, and last point, we'll wrap it up, maybe.
Well, wrap up this one. I have a couple more disappointments. Yeah, it's not the wrap up yet.
No, I think Universal, to go back to my main argument here, Universal is a weaker park to begin with. So when they built Hogwarts, you know, I think one of the greatest book franchises and films of all time, Harry Potter, of course people are going to go to Islands of Adventure and be like, what to do? They're going to go to Harry Potter Land. It's going to be crowded. I think the Disney parks, both in California and in Florida, are stronger parks to begin with, and it's of course it's gonna be crowded. They're building Star Wars, but I think there's more when people go that haven't been are still gonna they're gonna be like, oh, I've got Cars Land, there's just so much more that's stronger. They're weaker parks.
That is true, but Disneyland,
it's gonna be crowded though, regardless. I'm not saying it's not gonna be crowded.
That is true, but Disneyland hasn't done the e-ticket ride. At that point, it'll be some like 25 years. We don't know.
You mean in Disneyland Park?
That'll be the first e-ticket ride in about 25 years when it's ready. People are ready.
What year was
Indiana Jones was 1995.
So that's you're saying when it's done. When
it's done. So,
but they've updated rides.
It's not the same as a brand new thing.
It's a classic park. I don't think it needs to be messed with too much.
I think
there's
that, but
refurbishments need to happen.
I understand.
But what do you want them to, like, every few years be like, let's take out the tiki room and replace it?
Mark my words.
You know?
Look, Star Wars Land is going to be awesome, or it should be awesome, but it's going to be an ugly mess when it opens.
But
if
that's
Disneyland
the nature
Resort doesn't do
of
something
American
about it.
culture. That's a whole nother discussion. I mean, there's no way to control the crowds. I think that's
if they got to spend
a dead argument.
If they spend the money, which is the question. If they spend the money, they could balance it out.
Because I think then you're going to get even more people that might not be into Star Wars that are just Marvel fans coming. I think that could exacerbate the problem.
We're getting to traffic flow demographic.
I don't remember what our hashtag was. So. Go back and hashtag Marvel Land or not. I gotta hear your thoughts.
So I'm gonna move on from those disappointments.
Okay, more disappointments. Bring them on.
Right. I have to carefully word this. I think they will do amazing things with Pandora, the world of Avatar. I think they could do amazing things with it, and it might have a lot to do with the fact that I'm just not that excited about the property, the movie.
You're not an Avatar fan.
It's kind of like whatever. I think they could do amazing things, but what they're putting in it's a nice boat ride, which I'm actually more excited for that than I am for this what seems to be a Soarin' over California in Pandora ride. Those are the 2 rides that are going into this Pandora.
I feel like it will be hopefully a little
I hope so
scarier
too.
and more adult.
I think it'll be more thrilling.
And more advanced.
Yeah, I think so. But I should be way more excited about Pandora than I am. Not to say I'm
but
not
you're not,
excited.
But honest
right.
truth, you're not an Avatar fan.
You're right.
I really love Avatar. So I'm excited about it. I think Animal Kingdom has so much potential as a park, and it really is, in terms of attractions, it has the least, and you get in there and you're kind of like you can check it all off by noon.
Right.
It has some wonderful, it's got the Yeti roller coaster, which is wonderful, but it needs a lift, and I think it fits so well with that animal, magical, mystical story.
I'm not arguing the park needs it, and I think it'll be really cool, and I think they'll do it right. And
it will spread the wealth of it. It'll go exactly to what we can just X off that last disappointment.
All this stuff.
It'll spread the crowds. It will.
You're preaching to the choir on this one. That's a different park, but
it'll spread the crowds.
I wanted to be really wowed with the Pandora announcement, what they showed me, and I think it'll be probably.
I think it'll be wowed in person.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be better when I'm actually there.
Yeah.
On paper, I'm gonna see it. I'm gonna see it.
I won't name names because I want to protect the person. But
Sure.
I have a dear, close friend, one of my best friends, and her family is working on that expansion, specifically the Avatar one. And I've spoken to the person. I'm trying to keep it secret, but I've spoken to who's working on it, and he's not one to just get impressed over nothing, and was like, It is really cool what they're doing. So I'm gonna go off that and take that.
All right, sign me up. I'll be the first one in line for it. Mind you, my disappointment is not mean I don't want to go. I don't think it'll be cool. I just
there
think
at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, about that. But I wanted more than what I'm getting with that, and I think I'll be proven. I think I'll be proven wrong.
Just go over to Magic Kingdom and go in Star Wars Land. See, it's going to spread. That's what you need to do. When both the Star Wars lands are built, just avoid California and make your trip to Florida then.
Okay. All right, well.
Don't tell everyone we're doing that. We want to keep the crowds. Right. Don't tell anyone to go to Star Wars Land.
This is one you'll appreciate. We touched on a little bit earlier. Love Pixar. Too many sequels coming out. I'm excited for Incredibles 2. I'm excited for Toy Story 4. I'll see Finding Dory.
What is that? You're not a Finding Nemo fan?
I like Finding Nemo a lot.
Out of all the sequels, I think that's going to be the strongest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Incredibles 2. I'm looking forward to it. But I really, I love when they announce Coco, and they have four sequels, one announced original Coco, and then one to be named later that is probably not a sequel. So that's 4-2 over the next 6 years, maybe give or take.
I feel
it's just I want to see original work from Pixar.
I feel so protective of Pixar, but it's ironic that out of all the disappointments, I agree with this one the most, and it's my favorite part of Disney is Pixar currently.
Yeah. And
I agree. They're definitely lacking in the original stories. And I think, John Lasseter, first name basis again.
Can you invite John to our podcast?
Yeah, he mentioned to me at D23.
Okay. All right.
We'll see, maybe around November when Good Dinosaur comes out. No, he really tried to sell the point, and you heard him emphasizing that we had 2 original films in 1 year, and it's like, that's great, John, but I feel it's like he's the Wizard and Wizard of Oz. He's kind of pulling the curtain to hide what is a little bit of a problem with the studio. It's they're falling back into sequels. So I agree, and all of the films they're doing sequels to, except for Cars 3. That's a little.
Cars 3: The Apology.
Yeah, I guess that
hopefully,
hopefully it can redeem itself. Yeah. I think that would.
I happen to like Cars, the first Cars, the Cars 2. Not
I'm
so
lukewarm
much,
on the first one.
Okay.
Second one, yeah.
So
but I definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and
we know how I feel.
You'll love this one. You'll be all over me.
You have more disappointments?
Oh, I do. But we've touched on this a little bit. I can't.
We're done. Thought I was out of the cave.
There's no official timetable for Star Wars Land. I understand that, but please tell me it's not going to take six years to. Please tell me it's not going to be 2021 until we get this. we get this thing. I've heard that might be 2019, which sounds like a reasonable thing to me. But 6 years is a long time from announcement.
I don't think it would take that long.
I don't know.
I mean, but they haven't even broken ground on this.
2017. They're breaking ground in 2017.
That's when they're breaking ground.
Yeah, so if it takes 2 years to build, we'll get it in 2019. If it takes 2 years to build.
I think it would be more than that.
So,
but I think I said this already, but I think that Disney is good. That what they succeed at, where Universal is super flawed and is trying to redeem themselves with Harry Potter, is the details and the immersiveness. And I think that takes time. I mean, Cars Land, you go to Cars Land and you have left the state of California. It is amazing, the work that the Imagineers did. The first time I rode Radiator Springs Racers, I was like, this ride isn't real. It's from the future.
How is Universal doing it so much faster and doing it Disney quality? That's what I want. Why can Universal do it, but Disneyland, Disney World can't do it?
I think because they've put all their eggs in one basket. That's all they're doing. I mean, Disney has so many other things they're juggling with their films, and I don't know.
Well, Universal has some films, and
the films aren't as high quality.
They're building King Kong.
They rush them out a lot faster.
King Kong attraction there.
They do everything quickly, and I don't think it's as good of quality. I have not been to Harry Potter Land.
I think I feel like I'm setting you up to be like, nope, I'm sticking by it, but it's amazing.
My bias is I love Harry Potter.
Right. Okay.
A lot.
Yeah, I think
so that's gonna definitely.
All right, that'll help.
It's gonna be hard for me to go in.
We'll see. I'm not. You do it right, and that's the most important thing. Part of me believes that you could do it right in.
You're saying Disney does it right.
25% shorter time. That's just I think they maybe could.
If it's the choice of rushing it or taking an extra year, these attractions are going to be here.
Right.
Hopefully, another 60, 100, however many years, they're going to stand the test of time.
Right.
And I think that's only going to happen.
Right.
I think Walt took his time.
I have less time than you in life, most likely. So
they'll be up in your lifetime, Rick.
Yes, they will.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Well, now my grave. Now you're talking about my grave. Oh my God.
Make it fair.
My gravestone will be like, I didn't get to see Star Wars Land.
I didn't get to say all my disappointments.
One more disappointment. Speaking of, you'll appreciate this one. There was no Haunted Mansion movie. I thought maybe I mentioned this last week of the hope that there would be a Haunted Mansion movie update, reference, surprise, and there was nothing. I'm beginning to lose hope on this.
There were a lot of live action film things happening between.
But nothing
Pirates
about Haunted Mansion.
And Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass.
I'm beginning to think Haunted Mansion isn't going to happen, or not anytime soon.
I mean, possibly not soon. I think.
Please give me a real Haunted Mansion movie. I want it.
Pete's Dragon was 1977, and now we have a new one.
Yeah, I don't know. about that
would. I don't think it's out of the question.
It's not. I'd hope that there was some word on development on it, and there was not, and that was very disappointing because I really want to see it. That's the movie, the live action Disney movie I want to see.
Well, someday.
The apology once again for the old Eddie Murphy.
You can watch it while the parks are being built.
Okay, that's all my disappointments. That's all my disappointments. We're out of the cave now.
You want to check the list again?
We're out of the cave. We're out of the cave.
Positive?
So
we're sure.
Yes.
Okay.
So
just make sure.
What do we have next?
Next, we have a few interviews that I conducted while I was at the D23 Expo. I just wanted to take the opportunity to get down on the floor and go up to people and see why they had come, what they were looking forward to, and then also introducing our top 5 We Love lists here at the Disney Click. And I wanted to see, I put some people on the spot last minute and kind of threw out what's your top 5 of anything Disney, whether it's movies, attractions. And it was really fun to see why people had chosen to come. I was really drawn to people in costume. So almost everyone I interviewed had a costume on, and that just took their excitement, you could tell, to the next level. And they were really geared up to talk about that.
Okay. So it sounds very cool, and it's all part of the D23 experience. Why don't we have a listen now at a few of these interviews?
Interviews.
Hello, Disney Click listeners. This is Briers. I have made it to the D23 Expo after some long lines in the heat. I made it. So I found my first new friend here. Can you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Chris with a K.
Chris with a K. Okay, so what brought you to the D23 Expo?
I heard it was going to be a lot of fun. I have never been to any sort of convention before today, so I was like, oh, what better first convention than D23? And that's pretty much it. I'm here to see all the new Disney stuff and people dressed up as Disney characters and eat some really bad food.
Have you seen a character yet that you've been excited about?
Yes. So I saw the sad emotion from Inside Out, and she looked spot on. Like, I thought she was the actual character come to life. I loved it.
That's great. So what are you most excited to experience while you're here?
I'm most excited to learn more about like the Disney parks and what they're going to do to expand them and new rides, and yeah, that's it.
And last question. At the Disney Click, we love to do lists and rank our favorite attractions or movies. So do you have like a top 1 or 2 things that you just love about Disney?
The Tower of Terror is my number 1 most favorite thing in the world. And number 2 would have to be the movie soundtracks in general and the music. I know pretty much every word to every Disney song ever.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Chris, and I hope you have a wonderful day here at D23 Expo. So I am here with Francisco, who is dressed as the house in Up with the balloons attached. Maybe he can better describe his vision.
Yeah, I'm Carl Fredrickson from Up, and yeah, I got the balloons here coming out of the chimney of my house, and I got the house from like the Disney website, and I just put it together myself, and I got the hose coming out of the house, you know, so yeah, I just put it together. Like, it took me maybe like a week or so to put it together, to think it up. My sister got the balloons for me, so yeah.
I love it. That's great. I'm sure that's Up is a popular film, so I'm sure you're getting stopped a lot for photos.
Yeah, yes, I am. It's awesome. I like it. You know, obviously, there's a lot of really good cosplays today, and it makes me feel really good that, you know, people are appreciating the work I put into it, you know?
That's great. So what brought you to the D23 convention today?
I'm a huge Disney fan, obviously, like everyone else here. And, you know, this is my first time coming to D23. I've wanted to come in previous years, but today is actually the first day that it worked out that I could make it out. And I'm just soaking up all the Disney, you know, just like
everyone else. That's great. Do you have something in particular you're looking forward to seeing or attending?
You know what? Not really. I mean, I'm just kind of taking it all in, trying to go up and down every aisle and try and see everything, but there's a lot to see. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And at the Disney Click podcast, we love to rank our top 5 favorites of everything from movies to attractions to characters in movies. So what would be your top 5 of anything Disney, if you had to put you on the spot a little bit?
Yeah, you put me on the spot. Well, you know, if I had to rank top 5 for like, we'll just go rides, because Disneyland's right down the street there. So rides would probably be number 5 for me would be Matterhorn. Number 4 would be Space Mountain. Number 3 would be Pirates of the Caribbean. Number 2 would be Star Tours, and then number 1 would be Indiana Jones.
Great selection. You had that ready to go.
Well, you know, I'm a Disney enthusiast, so I have it right. I have it ready.
Well, I'll let you go. You need to float away, right?
I'm gonna float away. Yep.
Okay, so I am here with a new future worker at Tomorrowland. Yes, little secret. So can you tell us what you're dressed as? First of all, she has an amazing costume. I wish you guys could see it.
Well, first off, my name is Amber Skies. That's my cosplay page anyway. And I'm dressed as Sergeant Calhoun from Disney's Wreck-It Ralph. And with me right now, you can't see, I have a really awesome Cybug, and I'm covered in glowing red and green LEDs. So let your imagination go wild.
It's incredible. So what inspired the costume? Is Wreck-It Ralph your favorite animated Disney film?
Of all time, yes. And Jane Lynch needs more justice put to this character, because this is the greatest character of all time. She's sassy, she's mean, she'll put you in your place, and she's not afraid to tell you what to do. So I love her, and it's fun.
That's awesome. So what brought you to the D23 Expo this year?
I've been wanting to go to D23 for a long, long time. This is my first year I've actually been able to come. I was in town because, like we said, I'm actually moving to start work at Disneyland tomorrow, and since we drove from Arizona yesterday, we're like, well, we have Saturday. Let's go to D23 finally. So here we are.
Sounds perfect. So do you have one thing in particular that you're looking forward to today, like a a panel or a reveal of some sort?
Well, my heart died because I found out from where we're sitting right now, Johnny Depp was sitting at this booth next to us yesterday, and I wasn't here to propose to him, so that's kind of unfortunate. But
that is a bummer. He received the Icon Award or some award.
Yeah, he became like a Disney legend or something like that, and he got his hands encased in concrete, literally at that booth right over there where I'm standing. Very sad, but
so close, and yet so far.
I wasn't there to cry over him, so.
And at the Disney Click podcast, we love to rank our top 5 of anything Disney, top 5 movies or attractions. So if you had to pick your top 5, anything Disney, what would it be?
Peter Pan is my number 1, anything Peter Pan. Second, Hunchback of Notre Dame, because that's very underappreciated. Third, Tangled. Fourth, Wreck-It Ralph. Fifth, anything Star Wars.
That was the fastest top 5. Well done.
I have this in my pocket ready to go whenever someone asks. So.
Okay, so can I have my next guest introduce himself, please?
Hi, I'm Joey.
And you guys cannot see, but Joey is dressed in Lion King paraphernalia. He has more Lion King trading pins than I've ever seen in one location, and it's amazing. It's great. So what brought you here today to the D23 Expo?
Just to have a good time, all things Disney. I came with some friends, so it's just the experience. Got to meet a childhood favorite from Lord of the Rings, so that's pretty cool.
Nice. So do you have one thing in particular that you're looking forward to today, a panel or?
That was it, meeting Sean Astin, so I'm really excited about that.
Check, you've done it.
Yeah.
So at the Disney Click, we love to rank things, whether it's movies or attractions. Do you have, what would be your top 5 Disney anything? I'm guessing Lion King will feature somewhere.
Yeah, Lion King's my favorite Disney movie. Anything Lion King, really. Well, I work at Disneyland, so attractions, Jungle Cruise, that's my favorite. I work it, so it's fun. Other movies I like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Hercules, all that fun stuff. The Renaissance movie.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to look out for you on the Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
Get in your boat for the tour.
Boat, yes.
I will. Well, thank you so much. Enjoy your day today.
And now the Disney news.
Okay, so for our next segment, we wanted to talk briefly about the 2 panels that I was able to attend on Saturday. The first of which was Welcome to Zootopia, all about Zootopia, the next film from Walt Disney Animation Studios. So prior to getting into this panel, all I had seen was the teaser trailer. I'm not sure if you've seen the same.
I've seen it, yes. Yeah.
Which is it's a true teaser. I mean, you
One
know
where the fox
nothing
trips the
about
bunny.
the plot.
Right.
Yeah. There's a white background. You're not even seeing where the characters live. You just see these animals walking around. So I really knew nothing about the film, and it was an hour-long panel, and they had seven people working on the film there, 2 of which were the film's 2 directors, Byron Howard, who directed Tangled and Bolt, and Rich Moore, who directed Wreck-It Ralph, which Tangled and Wreck-It Ralph are 2 of my favorite Disney films in recent years, so I feel like it has a really strong pedigree, and I was excited about that.
I love Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph is definitely one of my favorites.
Well, Rich Moore is working on the film,
All
so
right. Okay.
it's in good hands.
Okay.
But yeah, so they played 4 clips for us, 2 of which I think they had showed to an audience the previous day at the overall animation panel, and 2 of which they had not shown to anyone except for us. And I don't want to give away too many spoilers, because I even had moments where I was like, they're playing a lot of this film. But I was really impressed with the story, and I think they put a lot of heart into it. And all 4 of the clips, particularly one of them, was hilarious and got huge laughs. I was one of the people laughing. It had sloths. That's all I'll say. It had sloths, and it was playing off the humor of how slow they are. And it was hilarious.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. No, I think you're gonna. I really am.
Well,
I know you have your moments.
Answer me this. My concern about this. I'm going to see it with my family for sure.
You're gonna like it. I'm saying it now.
It's another talking animal movie. So what about it should make me as a moviegoer more excited about Zootopia? What's gonna bring me in?
Well, one of the reasons they mentioned why they wanted to make the film was when they did their pitch to John Lasseter, when he said, what's going to be your next movie, they wanted to make a talking animal film because they felt like it hadn't been done in a while. So I don't know. I mean, couldn't even tell you when was the last. Maybe
Brother Bear was Brother Bear a talking animal?
I guess.
Movie?
Well, Bolt.
Yeah, Bolt was
the dog talked.
Dog
right?
and cat talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cat talk.
So, but still, it's been a while. So I think they wanted to bring back that genre in keeping with this great history of animated films in which animals talk, such as Bambi and Dumbo. I think they created this entire world in which animals live, mammals, and the detail they put in and how they tied it all together. It's very immersive. It takes you in, and I don't know. I think it's a really original, entirely original story. So I don't know. I guess how clever it is. I don't know what's gonna.
Yeah, I think it looks interesting, but there's no.
Oh no, the teaser. I gotta say, I didn't like the teaser. Like the teaser made me not want to see the film. So even I'm in this panel, I'm like, okay, here we go. And
I like the tone. I like the tone of the teaser. I just didn't see anything that made me say I have to see this film. This is different.
Well, I think that's because of the teaser. They really do nothing in the teaser. You leave going, okay, we have animals that wear clothing and walk upright.
And a goat that chews gum or something. I can't remember. They chew gum. I don't.
That's all you know. I mean, you don't know anything. What else could you tell me?
Right.
You don't know the characters' names. No. You don't hear the female. She's actually the lead of the film. Is the rabbit.
Jennifer Goodwin plays a police officer. She's a parking ticket person.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
And their heart of the story is that it's about without, it doesn't give any of the plot away, but it's about how we judge people based on appearance, and all these animals are judging each other based on what kind of animal they are, and then putting them in their place based on that. And it's how we don't need to do that. So it seemed it had a really clever approach, and
I want to see
characters.
it. I do want to see it, but that's
going to be really good. I was really impressed by the panel.
Okay. And I
love
the
amount of research and all the work put into it.
And once again, I'm going to sound like Briers here, and it's Disney. They're going. It might miss the mark for whatever reason, but they're going to put their best efforts in. They're going to do it right, or to the best of anybody's filmmaking ability to do it right. Well,
I have to say that reminds me real quick. That I think it was Byron Howard, one of the directors. He directed Bolt, and Bolt was the first film directed when John Lasseter came over and took over all of Walt Disney Animation. And he kind of spoke. It wasn't instigated in any way, but he just in a moment made a point of saying it's been, and it felt just really authentic and true what he was saying. He said, "It's been incredible being on the inside, working from the inside, and seeing this studio transform itself into a place that puts the artists first over the business, the suits." And the way he said, and it's true. I mean, if you look from Bolt onward, if you look at Walt Disney Animation and the films that they've put out, they've changed the studio. The Brother Bear days are hopefully behind us. And I think film after film, they've proven themselves with Big Hero 6 and Frozen and Tangled. So
it feels more like Pixar,
and all of those films.
Right. It feels more like Pixar, which is a compliment.
Story comes first, and there's a ton of heart to the film.
Some surprise. And one of my issues with animated Disney type films, you generally know where they're going, and I think Pixar has done a better job. It's still happy ending, which I don't mind.
Making it adults enjoy it just as much as children.
There's a surprise. It's not necessarily from A to B to C. They've mixed the formula up a little bit, which is nice. Which is nice. And
I think this film is hopefully going to join that great list of films. So.
I have hope.
But it was really neat to hear him just in a moment, share that he's seen a true transformation at the studio.
Cool.
It was special.
Cool. And then what about the Toy Story panel?
So the next panel I was really excited to get into, shocking, was Toy Story 20 years later, the original crew looks back. And so the likes of John Lasseter was there, Pete Docter, who directed Up and Inside Out, Andrew Stanton, who directed Finding Nemo and WALL-E, Lee Unkrich. I'm always worried I'm going to butcher his name. Of Toy Story 3 and soon to be Coco. It's crazy to look back at who worked on this film, and they're now the brain trust, as they call themselves, of Pixar. And
they call themselves the brain trust of Pixar?
Yes.
Do they really?
Yeah.
That's surprising to me.
Yeah. Well, they don't do it in an elitist way, but it's kind of, they see it as it's a protection. It's like the memory in a computer. It's like it's guaranteed that it's very even. Like they're all about circular tables instead of rectangular ones, in a sense of everyone has a fair. Anyone in the room can contribute, and everyone in that brain trust can step forward and say, this film isn't ready, this script isn't strong enough. I think it's...
How do you get into the brain trust?
I think
Is Brad Bird in the brain trust?
I don't know. Brad's interesting because he's kind of left. He's
coming back.
He came in with his own, Incredibles was his own original idea, The Incredibles, and then he's left to do live action. I don't think he is. Okay. I think that because I think the brain trust, everyone at the brain trust is Pixar is their full time.
Okay.
So I don't think.
Because I think of all those guys when we say Pixar, but I also think very much Brad Bird as well.
Yes, yeah. So I think of him as definitely contributing and as a director. Okay. I don't think of him as working on every film. All these guys have contributed on every film in some way or another.
Right.
From just a helpful standpoint.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do they talk about at this?
Right. So they started in this really dramatic fashion and turned all the lights off. They had 3 giant screens and they played the trailer, and which it got, everyone was laughing and getting into it, and then John came out and brought everyone out, and they shared it was about an hour and a half. So they really took their time and shared stories about the making of this film, and it's crazy to think, 20 years later, this was the first full-length CGI animated film, and how many phases it went through. Because at the time, they were Pixar was making commercials. And before that, they sold software, computer software. So they really transitioned. And it was all John's idea that we can make a full-length animated film. And they had the I guess, help financially from Steve Jobs, who had purchased Pixar, and just the work that went into it, and Disney was the parent very much at the time, and they were having to turn to Disney and show them the story ideas, and they showed all the iterations that Woody went through. Woody was originally a puppet, and had a
marionette.
Yeah,
is it one with strings or?
We didn't have strings. When you have the guy talking and
a ventriloquist dummy.
Yes, yeah, he was a ventriloquist dummy, which
I get called that all the time, so that's easy for me to remember.
Yeah, you pulled it right out. So they showed early. They put up on the screen early drawings, and it was really neat because Pete Docter at one point was like, "Oh, I drew that. That was me." And as each of them came out, they had a picture of them from 20 years ago, looking super youthful in front of like a 1990s Mac. But it was just to hear how it happened. And they at one point said, if we had known how much work it was going to be or what we know now, it wouldn't have gotten made. Because it was like the naivete that they had of just being like, just keep going frame by frame. And the effort that was put in, and they didn't have the software. They were
I think there's a lot of things in life that if you know how much work it's going to be, you wouldn't have done it. So I'm very thankful they did that.
Yeah. It was their blindness helped them, the fact that they didn't see
their stupidity or ignorance even. I mean, I wouldn't use those words with them, but
optimism won out and the film got made, right. And
yay, optimism.
Now, can you believe it? Interesting how that works.
Right.
We're kind of like Tomorrowland. If anyone's seen Tomorrowland, we're like the
guy
and girl in Tomorrowland. Okay, that's another discussion
for another day.
But one of my favorite little stories that was told was I do not remember her name, and I couldn't find it out of all the cast and crew on IMDb under Toy Story. So I apologize to this female animator, but she worked on the original Bo Peep, and she spoke about how she wanted to work on Bo Peep and wanted to create a strong female character. And this same animator, 20 years later, is coming back to work on Bo Peep in Toy Story 4. So that was really, really cool to hear and special. That I love that ties in, and that she's still 20 years later. They're not just having, you know, whoever work on the character.
Right. That's very.
And this
cool.
was when they were doing the software was so undeveloped yet that they were modeling the faces of the character and then doing pinpoints all over their face to have a model on the screen.
Right.
So I mean it's
come a long way.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
It's very cool. I mean, it must have been a fascinating panel to go to.
It was
really,
yeah.
And just cool to see the Brain Trust.
Yeah. Most of them. Yeah.
Are just so awesome. And I mean, I think both of us are in awe of that group of people and what they've done and the transformation for animation. They're truly pioneers, and to see them talk about our Pixar baby ourselves, the one we love.
To see that 20 years later, their passion has almost grown for it. They look back on it with even more fondness because they see, you know, now in today's age, what they created at that time was so special, and it still holds up. And John made a point. He said, you know, people that know Pixar or know animation really well, you can go back and look at the first, and you can see the flaws. How the humans aren't as it was very hard to do humans early on. So you look at Andy or his mom or his sister, and they're a little, you know, they're not as perfect as they are now.
Sid was given a very creepy quality, probably because of that. So
it was easy to do.
Yeah, he just looked evil and mean, you know.
But he's then said that the story and the heart of the story and the buddy story at the heart of it stands the test of time. And also he talked about Randy Newman coming on board. So originally Disney wanted Disney executives, they had a meeting with some of these Brain Trust guys and said, okay, so where are we going to put in the musical numbers? Where are the songs going to go? And John said his jaw hit the floor. He was like, we don't want songs. And they made this compromise of having Randy Newman come in and sing songs that it's an outsider's voice. It's not one of the characters singing, and it's, you know, alluding to the story. And that kind of became the theme for a lot of Pixar films. Oh my gosh.
You Got a Friend in Me
which was performed, Randy performed it on, I think, Friday or Saturday, Sunday.
It wasn't at the panel. I would think
no,
it would have been
at
at
this panel. It was at the panel talking about Toy Story 4 because Randy is coming back and going to be working on Toy Story 4.
Right.
Well, and then and the wonderful song with Jessie in Toy Story 2.
Right.
So it was just, it was really, cool. It was really,
it just
really
sounds
special.
Like so much fun, and I'm happy you got to go see that.
Next time,
you know,
we'll go
I'm
together
gonna do my
as
best.
a team.
I do my best.
And then I'll leave you when you start talking about disappointments. Run away.
I only talk about it, on the podcast, but to everybody's face, great.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I dug myself a hole, huh? All right, guys. Well, that about wraps it up for this week. We've gone on a long time, but we're really excited.
A lot of passion.
It was cool
for what's happening.
Yeah, this is a big week for the Disney fan and all of us. So, you want to give them the information that they can get in touch with us? Yes, please follow us on Twitter at the Disney Click, and you can tweet us your top 5 favorite pieces of information or news that was released at D23 using the hashtag Top5DisneyClick. Also follow us on Instagram at the Disney Click, and we'll try to use our new hashtag Marvel Land or not. Hashtag Marvel Land or not. I really want that to start want to hear from
trending.
You about
I want to know what people think.
Yes, I can't be alone on this one.
Should you just rush to build a Marvel Land just to counterbalance the crowds at Star Wars?
You make it sound like they're just going to throw it together.
It's going to be done. Making it sound.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But when it's created just to counterbalance another land.
I have a feeling this is going to be a continuing discussion over the coming months and years.
This is replacing Tiki Room.
Right. No, Tiki Room. I'm still, very upset
chirping
with you
no more. There's no more Dole Whip.
Walt spinning in his grave.
No,
remember.
Walt's doing fine.
Okay.
Walt's frozen, right?
Okay.
Another day.
Yes. All right, guys.
Disney lore.
It's been a ton of fun, Briers.
A lot of fun.
Until next week.
I've enjoyed it, yes.
All right.
Take care. The Disney Click is a Meltdown Presents production. Produced by Terri Lubaroff and Mason Booker. Audio engineer, the miracle worker, Mason Booker. With your hosts, Rick Lubaroff and Briers Newman. Our theme song, King of the Swingers, is performed by the Swing Ninjas and provided by freemusicarchive.org. Jazzy Frenchie is our break music and can be found on bensound.com. End credit music Dill Pickles is performed by the Heftone Banjo Orchestra and provided by freemusicarchive.org. Don't forget to tweet us at The Disney Click. You can also follow us on Instagram at The Disney Click. Use the hashtag Top5 Disney Click to share your own Top 5.